What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Dan Martin. With me, as always, Evie the Deer. Welcome to another special Off the Grid episode of Think About It, where I disclose revelations I wasn't able to have until physically living society and not communicating or having anything to do with humans for 8 years. Today on Think About It, we're talking about children. Think about it. The selfishness of having children, and I don't mean to offend any parents out there. It's not a bad thing. Humans are selfish about all kinds of things. Every element in our life is a selfish aspect. And I'm not trying to talk bad or talk down about having children or parents that have decided to reproduce. It's just, I want to address the selfish element behind it. So when asked why soldiers fought during some of the largest and most brutal wars on earth, why they fought, killed, and committed some of the most heinous and horrendous acts known, the simple and most often universal answer on both sides is for my family. It's listed that 85% of most lower and middle class crimes are committed to provide for one's children. The reason we slave day in and day out at meaningless jobs, family, debt beyond belief, suicide, morals, values, ethics, humanity, all thrown out the window without hesitation when the needs of my children is put in question. And why? What's it all for? Because having children feels oh so good. Not only that most special of special days, where, keep in mind, the female is willing to undergo the very definition of torture, some of the most extreme pain documented, the actual day of birth, but many days to come, not to mention the very physical act of which in itself is the number one cause or reason behind most violent crimes globally, being sex. Doing something for the sole act of it feeling good, is this not the definition in itself of selfishness? So then by the numbers, is not having children the most unselfish act a man can commit? For my God-fearing viewers, when God said, go forth and prosper, or go forth and multiply. I really don't think he meant go forth and spread like a virus, multiplied beyond belief, devastate and destroy all the breeding grounds of every other living thing on this planet, as well as destroying the planet itself. Really? Try your best to destroy everything I made, please. Somehow I don't think he meant that. And yet we're programmed this way, to feel this way. There's something inside of us all, well, most of us, I guess it's not in me, that says, have babies, reproduce, get pregnant. Or at least for men, it's have sex, have a lot of sex, which, let's admit it, due to the outcome of today's society, translate into the same exact thing. And the consumer and service-based industries and corporations not only know this and know that there's nothing you can do to control yourself, but they're happily getting fat and filthy rich exploiting this. Hair salons, mani-pedicure salons, clothing, shoes, lingerie, eyewear, jewelry, makeup, soft drinks, food, television, automotive, alcohol companies, fitness, cosmetics, cosmetic surgeries, nightlife, music. It's all in the marketing. The list goes on and on. Drive this car and you'll get laid. Wear this short dress and you'll get laid. Fancy gold watch? Laid. Black stilettos? Laid. Walk this way, talk this way, drive this way, look this way. Laid. Babies, 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 babies. Statistics carried out for something like 100 years show that sex is the #1 consumer and service-based industry in the world, followed closely by children's purchases, toys, clothes, diapers, children's snacks, cereals, food. 90% of television shows, movies, music is geared directly towards children. The remaining 10% has some type of sexual scenes in it, which, as we've already deduced, directly translates to children. And the funny thing is that the corporate heads, the advertising CEOs, the presidents of automotive manufacturers, on average, either have no or as little as one child, while middle and lower classes have 4, 5, 6. Everything we strive for, every action we take, every effort we make, in some way, fashion, or form, directly or indirectly connected to, is caused by that oh so great feeling of having kids. Isn't that feeling worth it, doing it again and again, over and over, 3, 4, 5 times? Another 60 hours worked this week, another 18 years of my life, another 40 grand on my credit card. But is it worth $1 million? No. Another 40 grand on my credit card, another 80 grand on my credit card, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But let me ask you this. Is it worth $1 million? Would you pay $1 million to have a kid? Did you know, on average, according to the Department of Internal Revenue Service, middle to lower class parents will spend over $1 million per child for that child over their life of the child? You mean each one of us could have been a multi-millionaire if we didn't have children? Why didn't anybody tell us this before? In fact, in the last few years, that cost rose 20%, while income for the United States dropped at the same margin, and unemployment rose by 3 times. If it was ever a time to not have kids, it's definitely upon us now. By contrast, it's reported that the worst feeling a human can possibly experience is the loss of a child, which in itself makes sense, since the best feeling is having that child. So we cry and we mourn. Some of us even take our own lives. Then, for the ones that don't, we do it again. But why? Why do we weep? Why do we cry? Why do we feel like our insides just got ripped out? Because that child, in all meanings of the term, is a physical part of us. Literally, it's a part of us that came out. And when that child dies, we literally lost a part of us that will never be put back. Yes, we weep also because that child had everything going for him, or never got to experience this or that element of his life. But those are mostly afterthoughts to the idea that I have lost something, me, that this child won't be in my life anymore. What am I going to do without him or her in my life? I won't be able to see him or her go to college. I won't be able to see him or her fall in love. I won't be able to see him or her get married or have, grandkids. My mother wants me to have a child, not to bring another life into this world that would have otherwise not existed, not even for her child to experience birthing and raising another child, since I've never done it before, but so she can have a grandchild. I'm sure every single one of you have heard this exact same sentiment yourself. It's so that she gets to experience youth again, the laughter, the smiles, giving presents to those children. It's all to make her feel good, nothing else, and certainly not me. Christmas? Another billion-dollar industry designed for children. We could stop world hunger by skipping 1 or 2 Christmases video. Then there's the environmental impact children cause. 80% of landfill waste is from diapers from children between 1 week and 2 years. From 2 to 80, that child will contribute his fair share of wiping out 80% of the annual population and worldwide planet destruction that we humans cause. Humans make up just 0.01%, I believe, of all living things on this planet. Yet we're responsible for 83% of all wild mammals and half the plants being eradicated from this planet. So hippies, want to save the world? Stop reproducing. We're not rabbits. Men, you don't need to hump everything in sight. And women, you don't need to pop out a bunch of kids. We can be rational. We can reason. But there's no decision-making process on whether or not to have kids. It just happens. As I'm sure most of you can attest to, it just happens. And God forbid our parents sat us down and explained to us that we don't need to have children. And that even though it's expected by society and friends and family, in the end, it's our decision and our decision alone. And that we should make that decision in accordance with what's best for us and what we want out of our life and our future. Isn't that rational? Isn't that logical? But no. My mother told me when I informed them I wasn't going to have children in my life, she said, "Oh, honey, you think that now, but your feelings may change in the future." Okay, using that same logic, when approached and told, "We want to have kids, Mom," why don't parents say, "Oh, honey, you feel that now, but your feelings may change in the future"? And we won't even get into that whole who's going to take care of me when I'm older rationale for having children. Before, tetanus, smallpox, influenza, tuberculosis, pneumonia, war, horrible living conditions, bad medical practices, all controlled the quantity of humans that were on this planet at any given time. Nowadays, for the most part, our children survive to be adults and our adults survive to become the walking dead, creating numbers that put a strain on this planet's ecosystem beyond belief. So again, I ask you, isn't it a very extremely selfish act to have children, knowing all the consequences that that decision entitles? Think about it. Again, as always, do not believe anything you're told. Think for yourself and question everything. Hit the like and subscription buttons below if you like what we're doing.